Welcome to the Spearo Hangout, where we talk all things spearfishing, freediving and foraging. We're three guys from Devon in the UK who are excited to share some of their learnings from our spearfishing journey with you over the coming episodes. We bring in some special guests along the way to help spread some in-depth Spearo knowledge from some of the most experienced people in the scene.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, you right?
Evening.
Yeah, I'm all good. How about yourselves?
Good.
Knackered.
When are you never tired?
Oh, tell me about it. It was,
How was your drive to Wales?
really good. Yeah, it was a really good trip. 4 hours there, 4 hours back. Left at just before or just after 4 a.m. Got there at 7:30. And well, I say got there. Got to the marina at 7:30, meeting Jack Bailey. And I was a little bit early, so I went and they've got like really nice facilities there that you can use. They've got like a disabled toilet that's got a shower in it, like a warm shower. So I managed to get my suit on, all in there, all nice and ready. And then Jack turned up to go and get the boat out of the marina. And let me put my phone on silent. And yeah, went to go and start it. It's a 6 meter rib called Breaking Bass.
Oh, you went on that one. Nice.
Nice.
Yes. Well, the story evolves because he took the cover off, and I sort of stood on the side watching him because it's like a locked marina, and to save him coming up, I was just letting him carry on. And anyway, had one engine start up. It's got I think it's twin 60s or twin 90s, something like that. And one engine started up and the other one didn't. And then I saw Jack looking confounded and frustrated. And after about 15 minutes, he was like, fuck it. Came and opened up the thing, told me that one of the engines won't start. So I went and had a look, and it was the starter motor, or the solenoid that sends the power to the starter, was chucking its guts out in rust. So we didn't go out on the boat in the end, which is a shame. I still managed to get out on the boat because I drove the boat from the mooring. So not only was the engine knackered, the starter motor knackered, but the tilt wasn't working either on one of the engines. So we had to go and drive the boat round, pull the boat out of the water. So we actually then ended up going another half an hour away. So we didn't get in the water until about 11. Like, so my report in the BSA that I'm feeding back about the Southwest Wales Club is 1 out of 5 stars, I'm afraid.
What was it for? Was it like some kind of event?
Yeah, so similar to what you guys have had with Dorset, they just had a friendly club gathering that ended in a cook-up, barbecue, and a camping at a little. I don't know whether they rented it or, they know of the person that owns it, but at a little campsite with really cool like wooden seating. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like a theatre type area.
Like a barn, yeah. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's class.
No, it was really, really good.
Yeah, it looked awesome. Yeah, nice one.
And you caught a fish as well.
I did. Yes, my first bass of the season.
Nice.
Decent size as well. But the story with that, so we went out to a spot that I shall not name, even though I don't think any of them had dove it before. But it was just a really nice little cove. I swam probably, I'd say, close to 3/4 of a mile around the inside, staying close in, but I was going out to sort of the headland. Found some nice, I think it's called throngweed. It's not stringweed. It's the one that's got all the little bubbles on it. Is that throngweed?
I'm not that clued up on my seaweeds.
But you mean like, do you call it japweed? Like where it's like real like thin...
We've already had a conversation. We're
We
not allowed to
have.
say that.
I thought
We can't say Jap.
we were allowed to say that.
No, it's got to be Japanese. See, I seem to remember it was throngweed from or thongweed. No, it's not thongweed because that's what I would call
Japanese
stringweed.
wireweed. Are we talking about the same thing?
Japanese wireweed. That's like Japanese wire.
Wikipedia says japweed, so I think we're okay.
Yes, Japanese wireweed.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
the bats love that, don't they?
yeah.
It's actually an invasive species, this one, isn't it?
Ooh.
Not
Where's it
not
come from?
native. Oh, I don't know. Originally from Japan, it says.
I was just going to
Makes
say,
sense.
maybe it's in the name.
It was tongue in cheek. I'm winding you up. But yeah, saw loads of bass, all tiny schoolies, probably 20, 25 centimeters. And
Mm.
just saw this one. And so my mask starts filling up with water coming through the nose because I just blew my nose out and put my mask back on. As soon as I put my head down to the water, I see this fucking bass on my left coming out of the weed and going, and the other side of the weed is just sand. And so I was like, fuck, fuck, fuck. How am I going to have time? Like, I start aiming at it, hit spots me, starts gunning for the sand, but I'm like a little bit too far away. So I start swimming towards it. As I'm swimming towards it, my mask is now 3/4 full of water. And it gets over to the sand, and I was like, I'm going to take a shot anyway. I don't fucking care. This is my first fish, and I haven't seen a bass like this for a long time. Shot it, and how the fuck it hit, I have no idea. It hit through the belly. Luckily, it went straight through both sides and was like a decent sort of holding shot. But yeah, I managed to get it in, and it was lovely. Two
Nice.
big spider crabs as well.
Yeah, those are big crabs.
They've got so many spiders up there. The one thing I was amazed that I didn't see was that being where it is, I thought that maybe king crab, but because it's sort of like north coast of Wales on like Irish Sea, but I don't know whether they ever get king crab there.
I thought it was king crabs like a Pacific Ocean thing.
Oh, is it? I thought it was Atlantic.
Googling it now.
We're doing all the learning in this episode. Lol.
Yeah, no, that was a
King-
cool day out, man. We had a good day out as well on Saturday with the Dorset Club
It was really
socials.
nice, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, well, I'll say again. Or should I say, not to my surprise, Ben was the only one to shoot a fish.
Nice.
It's only a
What did you
flounder,
shoot?
but yeah,
Flounder.
it was within like 5 minutes of getting in the water. And I thought because it had been so easy to find, everybody would have had fish and, would have found some fish for the newbies that were with us. There's a few like people who I said, well, newbies probably a little bit strong, but people who'd only been spearfishing like a few times came out with us. So I had a couple of people with me. Rich, I think you had one with you. It was really nice just to introduce them to the sport, and we had yeah, that one flounder, which was cool, but obviously plenty of scallops there, and a really nice cook up on the beach afterwards.
Yeah, and don't forget the
Nice.
dolphin that was playing with everyone.
Yeah, I missed that. I was gutted.
Yeah, that dolphin was swimming around everywhere. The pictures of it afterwards are pretty cool as well, jumping out the water. But yeah, it was a really good day out. And yeah, it's just nice to socialise and talk about spearfishing and just have a good crack, eh? But
And that was that just a fun day too? Just a
yeah,
club fun day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just a club social, yeah. Yeah, man.
Nice.
Yeah, and then this weekend I got my Ada level 3 with David Miller.
Oh, that's this weekend. That's really
Yeah,
exciting. And how deep was that? Remind me. 32? No,
24, I think.
24. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, so you've already done that like plenty of times before. So it's a lot of it's
Yeah, yeah.
around the like safety side of things, I guess.
Yeah, the theory, I'm like, because I've been really hammering the static holds at the minute, so doing a lot of breath work at home. So I'm above the threshold for the course.
Sweet.
So really just need to do the dynamics and yeah, just the theory side of stuff. But yeah, yeah, it's 3 days of diving, so hopefully I can take
Yeah.
off the diving side of stuff on the first day and then push it a little bit more on the second and third day.
You busy
Nice.
Sunday then?
We'll see how it goes. What was that?
Busy Sunday? Looks like the weather's improving again, so hoping we
Well,
can
it's
get out.
it's it's a 3 day course, so
Yeah.
I'll be busy doing my course
Yeah.
Was it Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Oh,
Cool.
nice. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Hopefully, the plan is to get my level 4 by the end of the year, if I can, and then yeah, go from there, I suppose.
And you can teach
Level
us.
four's 32 meters though, so
I thought you'd been that or pretty close to that before.
27, yeah.
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
5 meters?
What's 5 meters when you're down that deep? Well, not to some people, I suppose, but yeah, there you go. That's
Amazing.
cool.
Well done, mate.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Coming back to king crabs, they've invaded Yorkshire apparently. So not
We're going up
Pacific.
there then.
If you can
Species
find any of this.
native to North America was introduced to Russia in the 1960s. There you go. Another
Nice.
invasive species.
Yeah.
That's
There
one
you
that
go.
can invade down here if it ever feels like it. Come to Devon. You're totally welcome.
Well, yeah, talking about invasive species, this episode we got Sam, who's actually a Cornishman who invaded Australia and is now living over there. So yeah, it's going to be a good episode. And yeah, shall
Silky
we get him on?
smooth. Yeah. I'm going to have to shoot because I've got a work meeting, but I'll leave you guys to it.
Oh,
Sorry, guys.
well, at least it'll be
I
an
was really looking
exciting
forward to this
episode.
one as well. But yeah, cheers.
Have a good dinner.
Hey, welcome onto the podcast, Sam. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Woo! Yeah, good brother. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Yeah, we're all good. Shame Ben
Welcome
can't be here
on.
tonight.
Yeah, Ben's
Yeah,
off
what-
swanning out with some dinner with his bosses or something. I don't know. He's trying to get pay rise, I think.
Yeah, no, yeah, we're really glad to have you on, mate. It's actually, I'll start the podcast off with this, right? It's quite a funny story. So, obviously, I did a bit of research on the guests that we have on, yeah, and I was obviously because bit of backstory for listeners. Basically, you just added us on Instagram, and I was checking out your stuff, and I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. Let's get you on, right? Didn't realize that I had already listened to you way before on the Noob Spearo podcast.
yeah.
And when I first listened, so when I listened to that episode, which is like how many years ago now? Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's a
Two,
long time.
2-3 years ago, something like
We'll say
When I-
10 years ago.
that. When I listened, when I listened to that episode, right? Swear to God, God's honest truth. I was busy with my job, listening to that episode, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be good if we had a UK version of a podcast like this? And I was listening to your exact podcast. With
No
Shrek.
way, that's class.
So there's kind of like destiny that you're meant to be on here now, man.
Oh,
So
yeah, Phil.
what you're trying to say is Sam is actually the OG Spearo Hangout creator, and you just kind of like are on his coattails, Rich.
Yeah, man. He was my he was my inspiration, man.
No,
It's
no.
funny.
Well-
It's funny you say that. I like when I found out when I heard your interview on the other podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, that is literally what I wanted to do for so long. Do like an English version and like make it actually interesting. Do you know what I mean? No,
Well,
it's bad.
well, I was thinking when I was listening to yours, I was like, fucking hell, if this guy can do it, then I can definitely do it. I'm
Oh,
Yeah,
only
that's
joking.
No, that's it. It
So-
was,
I'm,
funny.
I'm
like
only playing,
you
man.
said-
I really enjoyed your episode with Shrek, but I listened to the whole thing again yesterday, and I was like, oh, this brings back memories, man. And now
Yeah.
look where it's all sort of come to. Like, it's random, but yeah, it's fucking epic.
But-
So yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, Sam, kick us off, man. Tell us who you are, what you're about, where it all started, and what you're doing.
Yeah. So my name's Sam Mumford. I grew up in Cornwall on the south coast. And yeah, I started spearing. I don't know. I always say it was about 16, but I was trying to look back through photos, early photos, but maybe I was a little bit older than that. But yeah, I've been spearfishing quite a long time now. I've since moved to Australia and 18, I believe. And then I've been here ever since. And yeah, I'm just enjoying myself, having a different sort of adventure out here. But yeah, it's good.
Nice, man. What parts of Australia did you move to?
So I originally moved into sort of Perth area.
Yeah.
And then I did 2 years of just traveling around, like I literally did like a lap of Australia in a car. And we were just living on the beaches and spearfishing and just actually like spearfishing to provide for ourselves, which was pretty awesome. And
Nice,
then
man.
I've actually settled and married, and now I live right on the border of the Gold Coast and Northern Rivers.
Oh, nice.
It's a
Y-
pretty good spot. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
I've been out there when I did some traveling around Oz. I wasn't spearing at the time, unfortunately, but yeah, I've been out there. Some really sick area, man. It's cool.
So
What's the spearing like where you live then? Pretty good or?
Yeah, so again, like referring back to when we did the podcast with the other guys, like I was just always been like a shore-based diver. And yeah, as you might know, there's parts of Australia which, if you've sort of watched like Young Bloods, like Brody Moss,
Yeah,
all that crew, like there's parts of Australia where you can literally like walk off the beach, and it's like an aquarium. There's like everything. So
nice.
I was loving it, but when I come here, although there is some decent shore diving, it's not quite the same. So yeah, the shore based diving I sort of ran its course, but then shortly after doing the new Spearo podcast, I just started getting offers to go out on the deeper reef, where the
Nice.
fishing is it's pretty awesome, really good. So
Nice,
that was
man.
the sort of a new spearfishing chapter for me. But yeah, it's a lot deeper the water, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm in that sort of circle. It's awesome. Yeah, I'm absolutely loving my spearfishing again.
nice. So pulling it back a little bit, you said that you moved out to Oz when you were 18. Can I be rude and ask how old you are now?
Sorry, no, I think it's 2018. Sorry, but
Oh,
yeah, I'm
2018.
30. I'm 30, 31. 30, yeah, 31.
Nice.
So yeah. So
Been out there
well,
6 years ish, something like that.
something like that. Yeah, lose
And
track of time.
and so what made you move out there, and who'd you move with? What do you do out there when you're not spearfishing?
Well, as a kid, I was just obsessed with Australia. I was one of those like weird kids that was just like into snakes and insects and everything. So
Nice.
I had a girlfriend at the time, and she was like, "Yeah, I want to go to Australia. I've got family over there." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's go." I was working in like HMV, the music shop, and struggling as a like professional musician.
Hmm.
So I just thought, yeah, let's go. And then we just traveled and worked and just made a bit of a life for ourselves, really. Unfortunately, I not unfortunately, well, I don't know how to politely say, but yeah, we broke up, me and my girlfriend at the time, and yeah, like I say, I've found a new wife now, but yeah, no, it's a cool place. Recommend
Plenty
it.
more fish in the sea, eh?
Yeah, exactly. If anyone knows that's true, it's us.
That's seriously absolutely bang on. So, what do you do out there now for work? Is it just you full time YouTube, full time spearfishing? Do you do it commercially, or have you got a sort of a job outside of spearfishing?
Yes, I've got a painting business, which is something again that I did do growing up in England. So yeah, it's good. There's just I don't know. I'm a bit of an advocate for people coming here from England, just because there's a lot of opportunities. I think, especially as a younger person, I used to feel a bit like England's like can be a real struggle sometimes to sort of like
Mm,
get your feet and sort of like make a life for yourself that isn't just sort of going paycheck to paycheck.
mm.
It just seems a lot easier out here, and I get a lot of downtime to do everything else that I want to do. So
Yeah, man,
Nice.
especially being self-employed. If the weather's good, you're out there, eh?
exactly,
Yeah,
that's
for
it. Yeah,
sure.
like I haven't got to work today, which is great because I'm the boss.
Well, Anthony
So,
just touched on the old YouTube, and yeah, I was checking out your videos, man. I really like your editing style and your like sort of storytelling of it. It's really cool. Where did
well, thank
you
you.
have you like you haven't got many videos up, so obviously it's something that's relatively new to you, or
Yeah, I literally started uploading, I reckon, a month ago or like 2 months maximum. It's quite a hard, it's quite a hard thing to break into. I found like, yeah, I put a lot of effort. Like you can see, like you say, I haven't done many videos, but I'm really enjoying the editing process. Like from my first video, it's pretty pretty rough around the edges, you might want to say.
Yeah.
But to like my latest video, which is something that I'm relatively proud of.
Yeah,
I'm quite enjoying doing it, and I'm trying to view it as something that like I enjoy doing, rather than like I'm not sort of Daniel Mann and getting paid millions. I know he's not getting paid millions.
Well, I mean, all I can say is obviously before Rich was sort of arranging the interview with you for the podcast, I'd not heard of you, and I was catching up over the past sort of 24 hours and watching your videos, and the most recent one that I think was about 3 weeks ago. The format you've got, first of all, I would have said you were recording, editing, and uploading for years. Like the way that you're doing it is fantastic, and your music taste. Oh, I creamed my pants. Drum and bass and hospitality, but like your videos are going on repeat in the background because your music taste is fucking phenomenal. So yeah, bravo.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Luckily, as a musician, I can hopefully profess to having good taste in music. But yeah, it's everyone messaging me like, "Oh, do you not find it really hard to like pick music for your videos?" I'm like, "No, like before I've even got footage, I've got like a song that I want to use."
Yeah, you got your playlist.
Before I've even gone spearfishing, I've got like a song in my head. I'm like, yeah.
I'm
diving and I've literally got the soundtrack in my head, like, yeah, and this is where the bass drops.
You've got some what's that one? John Wick music going on in the background as you're shooting the fish. You're like, oh my god,
Exactly.
this John Wick track is going to be the one for this video. Hell yeah. Nice.
I know we're joking, but I actually have been doing that. It's been detrimental to my spearfishing because I'm trying to stay relaxed and like keep my like heartbeat down and everything. Like I always used to, because I have this thing where I have like music just always going around in my head.
Mm.
I used to like sort of like pick a track like a jukebox before I go spearfishing that's like in my head, and I'd always pick like a slow, chilled song like Fleetwood Mac, Dreams or something like that, and it would help me with like my rhythm of my breathing and everything. But now I'm just like just like got heavy drum and bass going through my head, like holding my breath for about 20 seconds.
Nice. Well, one of the things I was reading the other day was Dave O'Callaghan, one of my sort of I don't want to say inspiration because I don't want to give him too much credit, the old fucker.
Your mentor.
Yeah, my mentor, I am his Padawan. He sent me because my breath hold over the winter has just become absolute shit because I haven't dived for 4 months in between winter and summer, or winter and now. And he sent me this breath hold book, and one of the things that it said in there is when you take your breath, to try and remove all of those thoughts from your mind, is try and do the exercise of where you say something and try not to think about it. And it said in this book, it said, right, try not to think about a fluffy white polar bear on the ice. And now every time I dive, all I can think about is this fucking polar bear. And it's like, oh for God's sake, it worked. But it does. And so with music, that's like you're saying, you got that track in your head and like trying to make sure that it's not increasing your heart rate and making you more energetic, but giving you something to focus on that isn't from your dives, the 25 meters that you're going to be sat at, and making sure that you're coming up at the right time before you black out. But I mean, as I said earlier, your the quality of your editing is fantastic. Excuse the bloody road outside. It's a motorbike night. But what cameras do you use and what setups? Because it looks really professional.
So I recently just invested in an iPhone 15 Pro. So I've just been using that to do a lot of my sort of bits in between and sort of like my monologue stuff, which like the cinematic option on there for the videos, I found that like just a real step up. I had the 13 Pro before. But yeah, a lot of it's just in the editing really, and I just have a GoPro 10. which I use for sort of all the water-based stuff. And yeah, that's it.
Do you have any particular settings on the GoPro or are you just using the bulk standard?
No, yeah, I don't use the standard settings, I don't believe, but I think actually what I did is I went through on the video that Dan Man did about
Mhm.
using different GoPro settings, and I
Yeah.
tried a couple because again it can be different. I found a lot of it's just trial and error because we sort of are diving a fair bit deeper
Yeah.
than say some people might be shore diving in Cornwall. So like I found that, that especially when we go out early in the morning, like we'll be launching our boat way before now, and it's like whatever time now, 20 past 6. So it's super low light conditions and it's deep. So you're getting down there sometimes it's pretty dark. And I'd get to the surface, I'd shoot some good fish, and then like all my footage would be super grainy. So it was just a case of you do have to sort of adjust according to sort of light settings and depths, like how deep you dive in.
Yeah.
But it's still something I'm learning about anyway. And
So if
yeah,
you're diving deeper, so obviously you're losing a bit more color in the footage as well, aren't you?
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So you're obviously just bringing that back when in the editing, are you?
yeah. So yeah, I just use my friend suggested me like you say, I've only done 4 videos.
Yeah.
The first video I used sort of I think iMovie um to do, and then the second one, oh no, sorry, the first one I used just the GoPro app
Right. Okay.
and just sort of was just having fun with that and sort of made it work. And then I started using iMovie for 2, and then the latest one I used CapCut Pro.
Yeah.
So you can see the difference between the first, the
Yeah.
middle, and then the end one. So yeah,
Nice.
it's really good. It just does a lot of the work for you.
Yeah.
And there's so many different options. You just go through each one and be like, oh, what does this button do? Do you know what I mean? So
Mm.
And for those of us that you've effectively just spoken Japanese to, how long? Like, so say for example, you've got the video that I watched that you uploaded 3 weeks ago. It was sort of like
yeah,
a 28-ish minute video. So
yeah.
you've gone out, you've dived for, let's say, 8 hours. How long did it take you to then do the editing after? I know you probably didn't do it all in one sitting, but sort of
Yeah.
how long
Yeah,
in hours do you
it
think
does
it
take
took?
a long time. I would say maybe 15 to 20 hours, I guess.
Shit.
Yeah,
Christ.
maybe.
So
Like
like
all
double
things
the length of your
included.
diving just to
Pretty
edit.
much, yeah. Like
Wow.
again, it did like the first one I did, I was like, oh, that was easy. I don't know what these YouTubers go on about. I just sort of dropped and cut the clips and added music and a bit of voiceover. But then you just become like a bit more pedantic with everything and
Yeah.
in transitions and yeah, like you say, like colors, and so you can sort of pour as much time into it as you want. Like I could have carried on editing that if I wanted to, but like you sort of get to a point where you're not really, only you notice the changes you're making.
Mm.
But yeah, I would say that I would guess that it would be a guess because, like you say, I would sit down and do 2 hours
Yeah.
at a time, and then sort of get bored or like get shouted at by my wife, and then I'd have to do something else.
It's definitely a love affair, isn't it? I mean, people don't, I think, realize how long it takes to actually edit anything. Even this
No,
podcast, I mean, one episode can take like 2 hours to edit. And yeah, it's definitely just one of those things that you do for the love of it. And you touched on it earlier where you said that, you do it as and when. It's not like a frequent thing that you do, and I think that's the key. If you do it too frequently, I think you just fall out of love with it. It becomes too much of a chore. And
exactly. Yeah,
it's just finding the right tune for the right video for the right moment. And I think those things are what make a really good video, I think.
yeah,
But
100%.
my 2 pence is I really like the only thing I can put it akin to is your 007 transition where it kind of goes in like a camera-y circle. like a
yeah.
lens. I really like that transition. Again,
Yeah.
if you're only going to appease me, keep that in. But
Yeah.
it's the same with the drum and bass. But so using that video that, as I say, we've spoken about, the most recent one, I've written a few questions just on sort of going deep into your diving techniques and trying to extrapolate some information for new or even experienced Spearos. So I hope you don't mind me asking you a few questions. But the first one was something I touched on earlier on, which is breath hold. So aside from diving, regularly, what do you do, if anything, to keep your breath hold and mind in, good diving fitness?
Yeah, not very much. No, yeah.
Nice.
It's something that I always have struggled with and continue to struggle with. Again, sort of going back, like when I was 16 in England, like we didn't really have anything on YouTube and we just learnt the hard way, like I didn't even realize about equalizing until I don't know how long down. Like I was coming up with like bloody nose and all sorts going on. But yeah, like now I try and there's so much out there that you can watch tutorials and courses and stuff, but it's just about relaxing, breathing up, really taking your time on. Like we mentioned earlier about I've sort of got music in my head. Like I know that, for example, if I start my drop and I can hear Fleetwood Mac Dreams, like if I'm down there and the whole verse goes by and a chorus, then I know roughly how long I'm down there for. So without sort of having to keep flinching and looking at my dive watch and sort of, because I only recently acquired a dive watch as well, so I was just always diving without one. So I just was going a lot more based on sort of how I felt, which I'm not convinced that isn't a good way to do it either. Like since having a dive watch, I don't know, still getting to grips with a lot of the stuff there. Find it a bit of a distraction at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just you have got to just find your own sort of groove a little bit. I know there's a lot of like really good advice out there, but like if that doesn't work for you, then don't like force it. Like it's all about enjoying yourself, and obviously you've got to be safe as well.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not compromising any of those two things, but yeah, it's one of them. It's one of them things, isn't it? It's like you want to get better at spearfishing. One of the first things you might do is watch YouTube, or you listen to your podcast or the Noob Spearo podcast, and you're just looking for like that secret bit of information, which is gonna like, like you're just like, right, I want to, and it's like everyone says the same thing, like just slow down.
Yeah.
And like when you think you are slowing down, slow down more.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Because I noticed from how we dive in the UK, it's like really like I find a lot of the UK divers, like you've spoke to Sam as well from Wet Mammal.
Yeah.
I find that when you convert from UK diving into sort of like the more tropical, deeper stuff, like they generally do make good divers because like our hunting skills are so finely tuned because we've been crawling around in like half a meter of water stalking like sea bass where like if you blink too hard they like go.
Yeah.
And it's like you can carry that over to as soon as you can dive deep or deeper and sort of you just sort of get a bit of a grasp on that. Like you sort of have that hardwired into you. Where I find a lot of divers here, they are focused on getting deep and big breath holds, which is really cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But then I'm seeing them like finning around on the bottom and like they're like, oh, I didn't see anything that drop. I'm like, yeah, well, you like
Scared everything off.
you're not really giving the fish a chance to like come in. Like it's like you can't. That's just my opinion on. Obviously, that's not all divers here at all, but I noticed some people. Whereas I'd say in the UK, you develop your hunting skills over your diving skills, like that's your priority. Whereas here, it's a lot easier to develop your diving skills over your hunting skills.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something I've noticed.
No, nice. So next question I had was equalizing, and this isn't, I suppose, it's a question for you now that you've gone from obviously growing up around our waters to going out there and being in the big blue, but for other YouTubers as well. So equalizing. First question is, do you do hands-free Frenzel? And then sort of tied into that, I see a lot of the blue water, what I call the blue water Spearos, dive without doing or using hands-free and on without blocking their nose. Yeah, do you do hands-free? And if so, how did you
I don't
learn?
know.
You don't? Okay.
No, I don't.
It comes across really well in the videos because it doesn't look like you move like your head at all. Because I take it the GoPro's attached to your head.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
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 See, I can never see your hand, so
No.
well hidden.
Yeah. Keep it hidden. I just trick everyone into thinking that I do. Is it Frenzel? Is it called
Hands-free Frenzel? Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So,
yeah, I'd like to try. It's like one of them things. There's lots of stuff that I think, oh yeah, I'll do that, and then when you get out there, it's like you don't want to change anything just in case it like compromises.
upsets it. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, yeah, like to be completely honest, equalising as always, it's been a struggle, and again continues to sometimes be a struggle now, especially if you've got any sort of remaining leftover like illness, like that, even if you're ill like a month ago, it's and a big thing out here is again, I was pretty oblivious to a lot of stuff, but my friend told me that if you're getting problems equalizing sort of not at the beginning of the dive, but say an hour, 2 hours into it, that often that can just be a case of dehydration.
Mm.
And I was like, I'm not going to drink some water and it's going to make me equalize better. And then sure enough, I drank lots of water, sat out for like sort of 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, damn it, that really worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I
always tend to take a couple of bowls of sort of energy, like sports drinks, not energy drinks. That's something.
Yeah.
Sports drinks. Yeah, just to get some electrolytes in. Like I think it's massively
Yeah.
important. Where does
Electrolytes.
where's the nickname the mule come in?
Oh, that's old. So yeah, so my name's Samuel, like Samuel,
Right, okay.
Samuel. So it's Mule. But yeah, I sort of lived bit of a past life. Used to tied in with the drum and bass. I used to party a lot more than what I used to now. But
Right.
but yeah, no, it was a name that was just given to my brother. My brother gave me when I was young. That just sort of just stuck around for years. But yeah, don't get called it
enough.
so much these days anymore. But
I just noticed a couple of times in some of the comments that it was a couple of people calling you mule, and I
English
thought
people basically.
yeah, I thought it might have been from back then,
I
but
thought it might have been your wife giving you a nickname there for a minute.
Oh yeah, I can only wish.
hung like a mule.
Yeah, no, she'd call me the chipolata if it was that.
Nice. So moving on to gear. The first question from, again, looking at your most recent video, how many wetsuits does one man really need? Because in your recent video, you're sat in front of like fucking 10 of them. And so I suppose the serious question alongside that is, if they're all your wetsuits and you're not in a dive store, why so many? Is there a reason? Is a technical reason for it? AKA, do you need them for shallow diving, rock diving, or are you just a big spender?
Yeah, I'm not adverse to spending money, that's for sure. But
Nice.
but no, yeah, I just have sort of kept everything since I've come to Australia. I've managed to just keep hold of everything that I've had. So I was never really big on gear. Like again, from the UK, like you don't really need these like 120 guns with like 100 meters of reel and like I found that keeping it basic was often like the best way. Even though I wanted to look cool, like there's something about having a reel on a gun that just makes you feel like yes. I'm going to shoot a massive mullet. But yeah, no, and I just got like, so I had cheaper suits which I kept hold of, and then yeah, sort of as my business started getting a bit better, I just started getting better suits. But I'm also like, I go through them really quick. Like the ones hanging up on the wall, I bought like 2 Rob Allen suits over like the last 6 months. I bought one which was sort of and it's like a higher end suit. Within a week, I went for a shore dive and then like shot a really decent fish, but it was in a lot of swell. And then sort of got washed into the mouth of the river, and then tried to like sort of climb up the rocks and just got like smashed on the rocks,
Oh,
ripped my
no.
ass out.
Christ. Oh,
So
no.
yeah, literally ripped like a giant hole in the ass of my wetsuit. And then I like went back to Adreno and was like, is there any chance that I can maybe get like some new long johns? They're like, definitely not, no.
Warranty.
Like how? Yeah, I was like, yeah, I think it's down the seam, but it's like definitely isn't down the seam. It's right on my like ash cheek. So then I had to just replace that whole thing. So then there's 2 there, and then yeah, like you say, you have different temperature waters. So in summer you can literally swim around in like your boxer shorts if you want to, but if you obviously do want camo, then you want to go like a 2 mil suit really. So I've got
Yeah.
a little 2 mil suit, which they're like really just nice to wear. But then yeah, as soon as the water gets a little bit colder, when I say colder now, like we've got a trip coming up in a few weeks, and the water's like 25 degrees, and like the Aussie boy, do we take a 5 mil? Like, what are we doing?
That's Christ.
It's crazy, but I've become like that now as well, funnily enough. Like, I'm actually getting a bit cold. I've got 3.5 2-piece suit, the Rob Allen one that I wear a lot. But yeah, so yeah,
Oh,
just different,
how the other
different,
half
different
live.
bits and bobs. Yeah, there you go.
You posh bastards. Nice. So, I mean, I suppose that ties into nicely into the next question, which is how does the gear you use here, there, differ from the gear that you'd use here in the UK? So, we've touched on the suits. Obviously, the water is, the temperature and the viz is completely different. But when it comes to things like weight belts, floats, guns, mask, snorkel, I mean, how much differs from there to here?
Well, from my personal experience, a lot. But then bearing in mind, you have to think that I was spearfishing in the UK sort of 7 years ago, like was the last time I was there spearfishing. So things have probably changed a lot, but like out here, the whole fins is like basically everyone has carbon fins. Whereas when I was in the UK, I didn't even know anywhere that sold like full carbon fins. And like there'd be no like for shore based diving, I mean. Because why would you take like $600 or £300 blades out on scratch them all up on the rocks? Do you know what I mean? So I just had like think some like I can't even remember what I had, but I guess they were maybe composites, but something that's a bit more harder wearing that you're not going to like snap or like break on the rocks if a bit of swell pushes you up the rocks. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe everything's changed. Like I know, obviously, Dan.
Well, I was going to say, sadly, you're talking about us. We're the ones who wear the 400-pound fins.
I'll have you know,
Yeah.
my fins cost £10 because I won them in a raffle.
Well, yeah, there is that, but I wouldn't like to replace them if you snapped them.
No, this is true. This is true.
So,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I feel like spearfishing's come a long way in the UK since
it
I
has
left.
massively. Yeah, that's massively. I'd say definitely the last 5 years. I mean, I've been spearfishing probably like I keep forgetting 6-7 years. Like obviously nowhere near as long as Davo, but I mean bloody hell, that length of time has come on a hell of a long way for sure.
Dave can still remember wooden fins. Like they used to carve them out of a tree.
Lead fins.
Lead fins. I'm gonna have to ask him if he ever used like metal fins. Oh dear.
Yeah.
But so obviously fins have changed. But what about your gun out there? You were saying earlier on that you're not going to use 120 mil with a reel to shoot a mullet, but I take it out there you've got big guns.
Yeah, well, yeah. Some people do. Again, there's room for everyone, and everyone's preferences. So we do like Adreno stocks all the sort of Euro guns, like the sort of yeah, like all the sort of like reef type guns, which it's just like a natural thing as a bloke, isn't it? You sort of want the big, flashy, strong one with like 6 bands. But yeah, you just don't sometimes you just don't need it. But it's funnily enough, I've actually been speaking a lot to Nick Hansen, the guy you did a podcast with,
He cut my
Yeah.
who
finger.
makes all, who makes his all who makes his own guns. So I've
He
just ordered a
attacked me
gun
and
through
cut my
him.
finger.
So yeah, for that trip I've got coming up, I've ordered one of his guns, which is like
Have
a
you?
127. Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
bloody-
So looking forward to
Where
getting that.
was he advertising them out there? Was he?
No, I listened to your podcast and I was like, yeah, I'll give
Oh.
him. I'll...
Nick, you owe me a knife, boy. So, I mean, that's actually, I mean, that I would say is probably going to be one of the first. Again, I'll take it back because we'll get shouted at, but one of the first spear gun manufacturers that are sending out from the UK as opposed to importing, because to my knowledge, I would have thought that all of the UK guys, if they're going to buy a gun to go abroad with, you're going to buy it from Australia or you're going to buy it from Europe, you know. But for you in Australia to be buying a gun from the UK, that's yeah, some good
What
work.
what gun
Nick.
did you get off him?
So yeah, like the longest one he does is that 127, I think.
Yeah.
But I just like the idea that so I've basically bought the 90 muzzle, the barrel end, and the one.
Yep.
So I've got the 127, just
Nice.
because I thought for trips, often like the boat, like whoever owns the boat, sometimes they can like get a bit annoyed if you turn up with like 3 buckets full of gear and 4 guns.
Yep.
So I thought that that could really be like a little cool like niche in the market where you're not really you're taking less gear basically.
Yeah.
I thought that could be really cool. And yeah, the fact he's English, like it's weird. Like I will only buy like European guns. I don't know why, but it's because I've got some weird like I feel like because I'm English, like I can't use the Australian guns or like the South African guns. Like I have to use like there's not, like you said, there's not many English guns. Well, now I've got one.
Yeah.
But like I'd always use like Salvamar and stuff like that. But it's just brands that I was familiar with when I was in England, like
Yeah.
Cressy and
Well-
Salvamar and stuff like that. And
Well,
Yeah, but
I can
yeah.
tell you that we've personally held his guns that he makes, and they are fantastic. Like really,
Awesome.
really good quality. Like so good. Even to the point where he makes his own knives now as well, diving knives, and they are insanely epic. And
I forgot to mention that.
I called Anthony over to come have a look at one. And I said to him, be careful, it's tight in the sheath. And then Anthony pulls it out and cuts his finger.
That's class.
It was so sharp that like it was one of those cuts that it was so sharp I didn't feel the cut until then. I was like, oh shit, my finger's hanging off. Hang on, push it back together. And it was like then trying to put the knife back in as I'm giving it back to Nick, going, I need to go to the hospital now. It was like,
I should have known better to give a knife to an infant.
yeah, don't give me anything sharp or dangerous. Jesus Christ, what you moron.
But yeah, no,
Spearfish
his stuff's really cool, and it's
Good
just
quality.
the attention he pays to detail is unreal. Like,
He still hasn't
Yeah,
shown
that's
me
what
his
I want to hear.
CNC.
I just want to. I've got this big trip going up that we've been waiting for, and I want to turn up with like an English gun, and like I've
and
shaved my
show them how
head.
it's done.
Yeah, might like put England across my like chest.
Yeah,
And
shave your head into like one of those English flag mohawks where it's you know the St George cross, and dye it red and white, and yeah, wear a
Yeah.
wife beater.
Yeah, I probably will.
Nice. So moving on in again, go back to that video, that mackerel you shot sort of near the end was an awesome shot. But one thing that I did want to question was when you shot it, you had your gun and you had a reel on the gun, but it didn't look like, obviously, the spear was attached to your gun and your reel, but you didn't have a float line. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, in your response there, I can see where you think this question's going. Um, why no float line? If you know that these fish out there are going to be kicking, and there's a possibility you're going to start getting dragged. Is there a reason you didn't use a float line, or was it just you weren't expecting it to pull that hard, or what?
I've literally never used a float line in the history of me spearfishing ever.
Nice.
I just yeah, that maybe not so nice for some reasons. But yeah, I have a belt reel also. So I've got 100 meters. Like I've lost a fish and a shaft through 50 meters of line just being completely spooled.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's not happening again. So I'll get a belt reel instead of a float. But yeah, I just personally, I don't know. I feel like there's more people moving over to the dark side than there is the other way these days, especially out here. I find that there's more people going from traditional sort of float setups to real setups.
Is there a reason
I
for
don't
that?
think. Well, I don't. Again, I've never done any boat diving in the UK. I was always shore based, but out here you can literally get currents that just rip super hard. So I notice some guys sometimes struggling where they're almost like pulling their float line down. They might have sort of a 20-meter float line, for example, but because of the sort of the current
The drag
taking the
on the
float,
line. Yeah.
yeah, like they're getting to 10 meters and they're already getting resistance from their float. Of course, there is still like a massive number of people that do use floats for like every dive. And it is a lot safer in terms of like I personally would never use a float. Hate using them. I have actually had to go with one once and wasn't opposed, but just something that I just have never done. I'm not used to it. It's not like I hate floats, it's just something I haven't done. I haven't learned how to do it properly. But I personally I wouldn't it makes me a bit more nervous when I go diving and the other person doesn't have a float, for example. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, obviously, there's heaps of current and yeah, sometimes swell, and yeah, like I feel a lot more comfortable in the water. Whether it, yeah, the other diver would need to have a float, preferably, or a float flasher, which is the other solution to my problems that I use in terms of safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I
just
was
a bit of
watching
preference.
before we came on. I was talking to you about Key West Waterman, Aaron Young, that we definitely need to get on the podcast as well. But in that when he's diving similar sort of depths to you guys, 18 to 25 meters, they do it all in feet, which I just can't convert. But they're always the line is attached to the shaft. They shoot the fish and then they swim up, and then they effectively wait for the float to kind of come to them, and then they just hang on to the float as the fish is swimming off. And
Yeah.
it just, for me, when I did it in Tenerife and I was using that same setup with the float line attached to the spear, it just seeing how powerful those fish were and how fast and how long they attack for. Just the one
Yeah.
thing that I wouldn't want to be is attached to that fish, even though I'm a big lad. I still wouldn't want that fish suddenly deciding, oh yeah, I'm going to go to 150 meters now and die down there. I'm taking you with me. It's like, oh, fuck off. My gun's worth more than
Yeah.
that. But no,
Yeah,
it was
no, it's true.
it was just
But
in case there was
of the
a
bigger fish
reason
sort
for it.
of yeah, a lot of the big fish they sort of they like a lot of the pelagic fish they don't tend to really dive. They will sort of run in a straight line, like laterally, as opposed to like straight at the reef.
That
Like the
horizontal,
bigger,
yeah.
like yeah. So like, if you're talking about fish that can actually like drag you, um, sort of like wahoo or big Spanish mackerel, things like that. Of course, you do have like dogtooth, which they will dive, and like you very rarely see people shooting like dogtooth tuna with like a real gun.
Mm,
It does happen, but yeah, it's really not advised because they do dive.
right.
But
Fair enough.
but yeah, it's just something that I've never done. It's not something that, again, like I don't want to try and people that are listening like convince them one way or another. It's just I'd never used a float when I was in the UK,
Mm,
and I never used a float when I was here.
mm.
So it's just, but it does definitely have its disadvantages, but it also has its advantages. So you just have to sort of like weigh them up through your own experiences in terms of like what you want and what you like,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. I mean, going back to what you were saying earlier on about your breath hold and sort of listening to your body, one of the things with the floats is now I've sort of, especially even when like scallop diving locally, it's only down to 11 meters. So it's like you were saying, it's like swimming in a paddling pool. Um, it having that float attached to my drop weight and then being completely free of float is so freeing. But at the
yeah,
same time, when like I would be diving a local wreck, I'm not, without my float attached to the gun, I'm immediately thinking, hang on, I know this pollock is going to wreck up and I'm going to probably be losing an 800-pound carbon gun that is far too
yeah,
expensive for shooting pollock. So that's again playing in my mind. So it's like, well, there's different situations, and it's
exactly.
whatever you feel comfy with and what you're used to. The more used to something you are, the safer you get. So
Yeah,
yeah,
fair enough.
no, cool.
What's your best diving experiences, Owen or Sam?
Um. Oh yeah, that video that you're talking about, the latest one, I would say
Yeah.
that would go down as one of my favorite days diving ever.
Do you want to
Yeah, it
just
was just
explain it for a minute, just for the listeners?
yeah, I can do. So it's at a place called Morton Island. Again, I'm really not precious about sort of spots and locations. So if you're from England and you're listening and you want me to give you some decent spots in Cornwall, just make sure you add me on socials. No, but yeah, no, it's a spot called Morton Island. It's a big place, and yeah, I'd never dove there before. So we like sort of woke up at sort of like 3:30 in the morning. You just launch, and it's just a beautiful day. And obviously we're all so excited because we hadn't dove there before,
Nice.
and we got out there, and it's like, yeah, it would be hard to measure the viz because it's just so clear. It's like 40 meters. It's yeah. I was boaty for the first drift, and I was like shaking that I was like that excited. It was like flat calm and 40 meters viz, and yeah, like the water looks like purple. It's like sort of hard to describe. Like everyone refers to the clarity of the water here in colors. Like our green obviously means that it's like England, basically.
Right.
Pea soup. And
Ours
then yeah,
locally
like
is
obviously
known as
through to
brown
blue.
and grey because it gives you Southwest water stomach bugs and stuff like that. It's a new one.
Yeah, there's that as well. But yeah, and like blue is like when everyone's like, oh yeah, blue, like blue water's like really good viz. But this water was
Yeah.
almost like a shade of purple, like it was
Oh
so
wow.
clear. It's like the colors from the reef and the sand, you could see them like from the boat in like 30 meters of water. I could identify patches of reef. So
Nice.
yeah, just yeah, and obviously I saw that big tiger shark, which was like a bucket list thing for me.
Yeah.
I just got down there and he was just like cruising, or she was cruising on in. And just like, yeah, just one of those moments where you just can't really believe what's going on. But yeah, it's really, really cool. And yeah, just the whole day was just, we had to work really hard for fish in that clear water. There wasn't a heap of current. Um, so we had to work pretty hard for the fish initially. And then towards the end of the day, we went further in where the water does get a little bit more brown, but the fish just like came alive. And unfortunately, I lost, or the GoPro stopped filming. But again, what you're coming back onto about reels, like I shot that big mackerel, which was like a PB for me. But yeah, it took out all my line. Then someone else got, like my dive buddy got a second shot in it. And then it also took a heap of his line, but also all the guns got tangled up with each other.
Oh,
And then when I finally got it into my arms, there's like all the commotion brought in like a school of probably like 40 cobia. They
Oh,
were
wow.
just like, they were so big, they looked like sharks. And like, we were like, what's going on? Like there was just fish everywhere, like every drop, like it was hard to breathe up. Like it was like, oh,
Just
you
too
just wanted to go
exciting.
back down. Yeah, you'd like come up with a fish and then you'd see something else like while you're on the surface. And it was all in like the dying light, so there was just heaps of like really hungry bull sharks around. It was just super exciting, basically. But yeah, like if we'd had longer, we could have, really landed some great fish. But it was getting dark. All the
Yeah.
guns were tangling up. But yeah, it was just super exciting. We all got back on the boat, and there's just big fish sprawled across the deck, like blood everywhere, just guns in
Yeah.
like tangles. The sun's like going down. We've still got like an hour punch in, and just everyone's adrenaline was just like on super high alert, and everyone was just bouncing off each other. The couple beers got busted out. It was just one of them days which just like it was just hard to. You couldn't. I don't know how I could have made it a better day. Do you know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
start
Nice.
to finish. But
That sounds epic, man. That sounds really good.
For
Yeah.
those that haven't watched it already, the best bit is when you shot Dory from Finding Nemo. That was really good. And when the middle finger up at Nemo as you were coming up to the surface, that was killer. So definitely go and watch that video. The drum and bass in the background just gives it atmosphere.
Just gives it a sense.
See how many views you get now.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, what's the worst diving experience you've ever had out in Oz?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I've got there's been a few. Obviously, it's like a lot. I personally love sharks. Like, I think they're amazing, and I don't get that sort of like gut fear response when it comes to sharks.
Right.
Just through time in the water with them, you realize that they're pretty cool. Like, I look forward to seeing them.
I do like your
But there was
little
one time
fact that you had in the video as well.
Oh yeah, about coconuts.
Yeah. What is it?
I think I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's coconuts kill 50 times more people annually than sharks. Is that right? Something like that.
So I think it was 30, but yeah, it's
30, yeah.
like 30 times more people are killed by falling coconuts than sharks every year.
Yeah.
I loved
exactly.
it. That's such a good bit of information.
No, it is. And it's you get out here and you realise like they're actually like super cool. Like I'm not just saying that. A lot of the Aussies they are like more scared than like the foreigners. Do you know what I mean? Like because that's something they've sort of grown up with, that like
Yeah.
ingrained fear that they've got like these killer sharks everywhere. And unfortunately, it does happen. Like I was at the beach here one day and I'd been surfing all day and I got up and I was just chatting to my mate on the bench, and sure enough, like a dude got eaten, and then I was just watching his body get drove up on the jet ski, like up the beach.
Wow.
Like it does happen. You have to sort of be conscious of it. But there's like thousands and thousands of people in the water every day at that exact spot, and nothing ever happens. But like one day, one accident happened, and it's a bit like winning the lottery, but like a lot worse than winning the lottery. But yeah, going back to the like I say, generally the sharks are like really cool and really chill. But there was one time that I was in Margaret River. There's a clip of it actually on my Instagram. And you'll know from swimming around with sharks is they're just generally just interested in your fish or what you're doing or what you're catching. But this time I had no fish, I had no lobsters, I had nothing. I was just swimming around, and I was on my own, and I decided to sort of like swim out further than that. There was a couple of other divers in, but they were sort of staying a bit further in, close to the rocks. I thought I wanted to sort of go a bit further out. And this place, it's nicknamed like the shark capital of the world, but because there's just a lot of sharks there. And sure enough, I just started getting circling by three like pretty decent sized bronze whaler sharks. And they were just like super curious, but I had no fish or anything. And they like kept taking in turns, like coming in at me, and I was just fending them off with my gun. But yeah, like it was quite a daunting experience, and it sort of made me realize that I can be overconfident.
Squeaky
And you
bum
do have
time.
Yeah, you do have to really respect what's going on. But yeah, I just sort of edged my way towards the boys, and then sure enough, as soon as you get close to somebody else, it's like I find with sharks that you could go out here where I live, like shore diving, as I have, and I've never seen a shark here shore diving because I'm always with somebody else and you swim around. But the second you're on your own, it's like they're not interested in attacking you, but they become a lot more brave and they want to check you out. And it's not because they've said, it's because they're always there, but they're very smart creatures and like they're looking after their own life as well. You're technically the same size as them or similar size to them. Maybe you're a bit smaller than them, but if you think with your fins on, you're an extra meter long, plus the length of your gun, like you become quite a big object in terms of how they perceive you. So I think a lot of the time they're there and they know you're there, but you don't know they're there. I think that's how I visualize sharks. So I try not to feel nervous because I think they're there anyway. Like you're just gonna have just think that they are there, and just that most of the time they're not interested in what you're doing anyway. So
Yeah.
Although ours here don't have teeth, I suppose I'd put it akin to the learning process where you were saying earlier on about bringing up with them of seals. Like for me, when I was out, we've said it a couple of times in the podcast, and like I've seen a couple of big motherfucking seals, and I'm like, shit, that's a big boy, and I'm like, hang on a sec, I'm bigger than it weighs more than me. I've got more teeth, but it's like it's that you hear every now and then of a seal attack of some stupid swimmer down in Cornwall or something. But I don't know of anybody that's ever died from seals. But I've got this innate fear of a seal's going to try and hump me. And I don't know whether I want humping that day.
I really hope that happens. I really hope I'm there to film it.
Oh, you wouldn't help me then. You'd just be like, hey, get hump myself.
Mate, that would make fantastic content.
It would.
Oh, I'll sacrifice my anus for the Spearo hangout. Don't you worry.
Did you see that video recently about that bull seal just like full on like attacking the spear fisherman?
No.
Oh man, yeah, it's scary. Yeah, 100% scary.
Where? What, in the UK?
No, it wasn't in the UK. I don't think.
I think it was a sea. Wasn't it a sea lion? Over in America.
Yeah, it could have been a sea lion.
And he's having a go at him above the water. Yeah.
Like that was well scary, I thought.
Yeah.
Like that was, it was a sea lion, like a big male sea lion, wasn't it? But
yeah, I think so.
Some things can be like more unpredictable than others. I find sharks they tend to have like two gears, which is like not feeding and feeding, and you can tell pretty easily which gear they're in. No, they can switch gears, but yeah, you just learn. It's like dogs. I love dogs. I've got two dogs. There's like two here with me chilling right now. And like, now I know that they're no danger to me at all, but that doesn't mean that all dogs are no danger to me. Like I can walk down the road and I hear a dog growling at me, and it might only be a little dog, but I can tell it's aggressive. It's like you act differently around that dog. And sharks are no different. You can see it's like, it's just one of them things, isn't it? Through time, you spend time with them,
yeah, for sure.
Pretty easily to tell the difference.
Nice. Yeah, fair enough. And we're obviously you said you last time you came back to the UK was 7 years ago, and when was the last time you dived in the UK?
Yeah, sorry, I came to the UK a few months ago, but it was during winter. It was the first time I've
Okay.
been there in like 7 years. But
Yeah.
yeah. So the last time I dived was would have been about 7 years ago in the UK.
So basically, when you left, fair enough. And
Did you
Yeah,
dive when
yeah.
you came over?
I really wanted to. In my head, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get like a 10 mil suit, and I'm gonna make a really cool video. And then like I literally stepped off the plane. I was like, I'm not going anywhere near the water. Like it's so cold. I just
Yeah.
didn't remember it being that bad. And all my like family and friends, they were like, Sam, it's like not even cold. And I was just sat there like indoors with the heating on for the first few days, just in like 10 layers. Like I was just
Climatizing.
Yeah.
freezing.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Well, you touched on it earlier, though, saying obviously, like the hunting, spearfishing slash hunting in the UK is it is epic in its own right. We don't have the vast species that you guys have over there, but you could still have a bloody good time out here.
Oh hell yeah. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
love UK, and I love watching UK YouTube spearfishing videos. Like it's sort of weird. I don't know if you can sort of relate, but I know when I was in the UK and I'd be watching videos of people shooting like mahi mahi or whatever, and like I thought, yeah, that's cool, but like it didn't quite captivate my imagination like someone shooting like a 10 pound bass. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah,
Because that was what was relative to me. Like that was
yeah,
my trophy that I could achieve. So even though I like to watch spearfishing from all around the world, like that was what I was most interested in. Or like spearfishing like Dover Sole, like I'd be like studying like where are they? Like how do I find them?
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's the same for people over here. Like they're like because Dan Man, he's like he's from the town where I live. So he's in the same spearfishing club that I'm technically in now.
yeah,
Um, and they're
After the
like, "What's he
swim that
doing?"
that
Like,
boy made me do the other week, he can fucking go back. Like, oh God. I had a really impromptu dive. I don't know whether we've done a podcast since then, but
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we've mentioned it. So randomly on I think it was a Thursday afternoon, I was like, right, I'm gonna book out the afternoon, go out for a spear. And like I put a post on Facebook saying, right, I'll be out at 2 o'clock. Anybody want to come with me? I had a couple of people say, yeah, let's go Cornwall. So a bit of a drive. And then out of nowhere, I'll get Sven from the LIC message me and say, oh, keep it hush. But me and Dan Mann are going out to Budley and going for a dive. I'm like, oh, okay, nice. All right, I'll come and join you guys. So get in the car, get all the gear in, get the water sorted, get over to Budley, get in. And I've only taken my little torpedo float. So because I'm thinking, well, the tide at Budley is always 3-4 knots. It's ridiculous, the tide.
oh yes, hectic.
And so I'm like, oh, they're not going to go that far. And anyway, Dan's like, we get there. Dan turns up. I was met a Spearo that's quite fresh, 6 months, and he's just been out of Budley. And I'm like, you're a new Spearo diving at Budley. You're brave. But anyway, Dan turns up. He's like, yeah. No, there's a mark that I want to go and dive, and it's a little way off, but it's kind of over that way. And I'm like, well, I think I know what point what pinnacle you're talking about because I dive it on the boat. You're not thinking of swimming there. It's like, yeah, no, it's not far. Anyway, 2 hours later, we get to the pinnacle and we've swum. I mean, it must have been 1.5, if not 5 miles. It felt like 5 miles. And I'm on my little torpedo float. Dan's got his dive master, so he's sodded off like a little jet ski. By the time that I get to him and I've caught up, Sven's given up. He's already sort of 200 meters behind us and he's diving behind us. And I get there. Dan's got 2 decent bass, but the dive was like I must have swam 3 miles and saw a couple of bass and went nowhere. So Dan can go back to Australia for all I care. sorry to digress, but
I don't think they'd accept him now with his accent.
Yeah.
Do you ever say anything to him about his accent?
No, he's a Londoner now,
God.
isn't he?
I don't know why, but it really gripes me.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, I don't know, because like where I live now is like super thick Australian accent, and I don't know. I noticed he deleted like a lot of his really early videos that he used to have on his YouTube because he
Oh.
sounds like super Australian. And then he moved to England for seems like 2 weeks, and he's speaking like he was born in Chelsea.
Oh, Dan, we love you.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah,
Do the
I
Australians out there
mean
say
it
cunt
with
as
all
much as I
respect.
think?
Sorry?
Do the Australians out there say the word cunt as much as I think they do?
Oh mate, yeah, it's pretty yeah, a lot, yeah.
Oh,
But
nice.
it's not like a harsh word. Like when I hear an English person say it like you, it's like makes me feel a little bit sick, but they say it like they say it like completely differently and
Yeah.
in different contexts. Like it's not an aggressive thing, it's like a term of endearment sort of.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
but that's
as long
just
as I'm
like-
not banned from Australia.
Yeah, but that's what me and
No.
Anthony do to each other all the time, don't we? So
Mhm.
so both in German for
Yeah.
each other.
Just pulling it back, I know that Rich wants to get into some of your stories from the UK, but just talking about gear earlier on and thinking back to the video that everyone's going to watch by now. Snorkel.
I hope so.
So looking at the video, you keep your snorkel in while diving.
Oh yeah. There you go. You're very good. Your observational skills are really on point.
Rich and Ben hate it when I start getting my like little analytical head on. They're like, "Fuck's sake, just shut the fuck up! Just ask him stupid questions and then move on." But no, snorkel. You keep. It seems to me that you keep it in. Is that something you did in the UK? And
yes,
right, okay. Is that just something again going back to the conversation we had already that you just do it out of natural comfort, or do you think it's safer, not
just
safer?
bad habit.
Okay.
If you did any diving with me, you'd be like, oh, like this guy doesn't have a clue what he's doing.
I disagree.
But,
I think you do.
No, but yeah, it's just again when I started spearfishing, I had no one to tell me like what to do, how to do, where to go. Just me and my mate, and we just learnt off each other, and that in effect was just swimming around as fast as we can, trying to find like flounder in place on the sand, and like just sort of shooting them from the surface. So that's how I started, and then I picked up bad habits. And a lot of them have just stayed with me. But I have been noticing there's been a bit more research, hasn't there, recently about maybe whether keeping the snorkel in could potentially be a good thing. Not a good thing, but maybe that's the preferred way of doing it.
There's so much of a difference in opinion. And people are like, oh, well, if you keep the snorkel in when you get to the surface, your automatic response is to blow it out. And the other side of the argument is, yeah, but if you're unconscious and you then go to the surface and try to breathe in, you've got a snorkel full of water. I think the AIDA and RAID stance is always, or the freediving stance is always that it's snorkel out. Because
of course,
you've got that then 50-50 chance of if you land on the surface or if you rise to the surface and you're face down, well, it doesn't really matter whether you got snorkel in or not.
No.
But if you end up turning over and going face up, then if you've got snorkel in, you're going to be worse off than if you had a snorkel out. So I think it's just one of those things. But like you were saying earlier on, it's comfort. Like if you're completely used to having your snorkel in, if I then turn around to you and say, no, take your fucking snorkel out, you're not going to be able to dive for shit.
Yeah.
Because just I
agree. I again, it's like when I went on the Noob Spearo thing, like it was from years ago now, and it was during COVID, and I'd had a couple glasses of wine, and I was just like in like angry mode, like
yeah.
And I was just like whinging about everything and complaining about stuff, and like there's so many different opinions, isn't there, in spearfishing,
Yeah.
and they can't all be right. So you've got to just find out what's best for yourself and what works for you. And yeah, I don't profess that anything I do is the right way to do it and that everyone should copy me. In fact, probably do the opposite of what I do and you might have some success. But like that's just what works for me. And I've tried diving without and it doesn't feel right. I've done it for like whatever it is, 12, 13 years one way
Yeah.
to then do it a different way doesn't seem right to me. But
Yeah.
I do start now. I like as I'm surfacing, I will start to spit my snorkel out. That's like a recent thing that I've started to do.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
The other thing that I noticed was in your videos.
Here we go. What now?
I don't mean anything by it.
If he starts talking about flags, I'm ending the Zoom call.
So blue and red flags. No, fuck you, Rich. It was only something that I was doing exactly the same as you until David Mellor told me when we went to Lobster about the air in your mask. So obviously when you dive, you're equalizing your ears and then you equalize your mask maybe every 2 or 3 ear equalizations, and you're filling your mask with air. When you start surfacing, that air starts expanding and then escaping from around your mask, and you can see it in your videos where you're surfacing. And one thing that actually helps me keep my breath hold, really like extends it and calms me down as I'm surfacing, is focusing on inhaling through your nose to keep your mask on your face. Have you something to try? And it was really weird the first time I did it, and now it's like a religion. Like when I'm surfacing, I'm making sure there's no bubbles coming out of my mask, and it's really quite comforting because it's kind of like you're taking a little bit of a breath as you're surfacing.
So you take like a short inhale through your nose as you're resurfacing.
Yeah. So as you're coming up, all you do is you're thinking about it, and as you feel the mask starting to come away from your face, you just breathe in a little bit through your nose, and it actually feels like you're taking a breath in. So it kind of like it stops that CO2 reflex to be as bad, and you're stopping the bubbles from coming out of your mask, so stops scaring any fish that might be there supposedly. But for me, it really it works and calms me down as I'm going to the surface, because sometimes when you're like at the edge of your breath hold and you're like shit, and then you're looking up to the surface going, how long have I got left? When you're then focusing on your mask and keeping the bubbles from escaping, it just calms me down. But it was just something I noticed was all.
Oh, that's good. I thought you were going to notice about like the condition of my fingernails, but it's nice to know.
Yeah, cut them. But I was going to say that after the podcast.
I will try that. I'll give that a go.
Yeah.
Talking about some crazy shit. What's the story that you told Shrek about that spider crab in England where you nearly fucking drowned? What's that all about?
Yeah. So
give us a story, man.
Yeah, so there's a spot called, I'm going to reveal some spots. There's a spot called Rame Head. I don't know if you know where Rame Head is.
Yeah.
Not that we were there last week.
But there's some spots there. And it was when I was getting I was like, yeah, like people are diving deeper. Like I'm going to go deeper and find some bass and stuff like that. And I was like, where's the deepest water that I can probably think of? And I was like, yeah, probably if I go off the end of the big headland, it's going to be like deeper water out there. And sure enough, we went off the end and there was deeper water, but there was like not a heap of fish around. And I was like, this is not as good as swimming around in the seaweed shooting bass. But there's a big spider crab spawning that happens around that area. I won't go into too much detail, but there can be like thousands and thousands of spider crab around there.
Yeah.
And I thought, on the way in, I'll grab one because that's what I used to do. Obviously, I had like a big, I don't know if you guys use, well, I guess you use floats, but I used to use like the nets, like the big nets.
Yeah.
Like that sort of clip onto your belt, like the crab keeps or lobster keeps, whatever you call them. And I had a big one because I used to often collect a lot of like shellfish and stuff like that. And sure enough, I was like, oh, okay, like I can see a big male spider crab with like the big claws. I have a photo of it somewhere on my Facebook from like years and years ago. But it was a big crab, even by like big spider crab standards. And I was like, oh, maybe I should just take that one before like I lose it and have to pick a smaller one. I was like, I'm getting out now anyway, but I got the crab, put it in my bag, and then it was still on my hip. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just do like one more dive. And yeah, it's sort of, I guess it would have been around like sort of like that 10-meter mark. Maybe it just felt that deep at the time, but I would say it was around there. And yeah, I went down and sort of lay in all the kelp and all the stringweed. And yeah, I was sort of doing my breath hold, just laying completely still, looking around for bass. And then sure enough, like when I've come to go up, I realized like the spider crab sort of, while it's been inside the net, has started walking around on the rock that I've been laying on, and sort of like tangled itself like all through the kelp and the stringweed. And obviously it's like a big crab as well, so it's like, you know, they have like those really long legs and they have just
Yeah.
super long claws, and it was just like a bit of a mess basically. And I couldn't get up initially, and I was on the end of my breath hold, and at this time it was like as deep as I'd been diving. So yeah, I just started like panicking and like whipped my knife out and started like thrashing around at the weed, and eventually got free. And then yeah, like I got to the surface and like my whole mask was just like full of blood, where I don't, yeah, I'd sort of like, I don't know, burst some blood vessels from, I don't know what had happened, you know, but I got out straight away.
Maybe like a squeeze or something just from all the thrashing around, I guess.
Yeah, again, like I just didn't know at the time. I had no idea. But
Did you get the
I
crab
was
though?
okay. Sorry?
Did you keep
Oh
the crab
yeah.
though? Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
And I kept
Boil
it
that
alive
fucker
until I put
alive.
it in the boiling water.
I'm not killing you before I put you in, you little
Yeah,
fuck.
that one didn't go in the fridge.
Bloody hell,
Oh
man.
dear.
That's
There goes all the
that's
vegans.
yeah, that's scary,
Yeah.
man. Shit. Especially
But
all the
yeah,
blood and stuff. Like, fuck. Did you lose any motor
that
control or?
well, that's what was really scary. No, I think I was okay. Like again, this is like, I'm probably talking 8 years ago now, but
Yeah.
I think I was okay. I did come in straight away, but the scariest thing was like I was thrashing around, well, not thrashing around, but for the story's sake, you know, like I'm sort of panicking a bit.
Mm.
Yeah.
And when I eventually get free, I'm like, sweet. So then I look up, and as I tilt my mask back, I didn't even realize I had blood in my mask. But as I tilted my head back, you can imagine sort of the natural leveling of the blood was like flat over my eyes now. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So like
Wow.
basically it went dark. Like I didn't know where I was going. So that was even worse.
So you got
So
you
I'd gone from
blacked
being
out.
able to
Oh
see
shit.
to just like looking up and it's just going like blackout, and I just start swimming towards the
Oh,
surface. So it was pretty scary. Like that was
oh
probably,
man.
yeah, that was probably like my scariest diving experience even to this day. But
Bloody hell. That's
yeah,
yeah, that's some hell of a story, man. Okay, that.
Christ.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, moving on. Rich, you've written something down here about fishbone taxidermy.
Yeah, well, Sam's got this epic skull. What fish was it that you did this you preserved the skull of?
I do quite a few, but in that video that you're talking about, that's on my Instagram,
Yeah.
it's a gold spot rock cod, or well, it's weird in Australia. It's like whichever town you go to, they call fish different names,
Yeah.
and they're often named after English fish. And you're like, that definitely isn't a trout. I can tell you that for sure. And yet that definitely isn't a cod either. But anyway, it's called a gold spot rock cod is
Was
what
that
we
the
call them here.
same thing that you shot in the end of your most recent video?
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
was one. It's a bit annoying. I'm a bit gutted with you can see with like GoPro footage, it makes a lot of the fish look really small, but that was like a really solid fish.
Mm.
But the one that I did the taxidermy skull on was probably like 4 times the size of that. It was like a 25 kilo fish.
Christ.
Yeah, it's massive.
It came
And they
out
have
epic
huge
though. The
jaws.
skull looks amazing.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it's really easy to do. I don't
Do
know
you
if
want to
you're like
talk
me,
us?
but
Do you want to talk us
Yeah,
through the
talk us through
process
it.
real quick? Yeah.
yeah. It's so easy to do. And like I said, I have messaged a couple of my friends in the UK because I'd like to see a bass skull. So maybe you guys can have a crack. But yeah, it's super easy. You just cut the head off your fish is the easier way to do it. You can try and cut like the jaw out, but there's a lot of bone, and sometimes it's easier to just take the head straight away and then just put it into a big pan of boiling water, leave it for sort of half an hour to boil. Or you can sort of see, like, obviously for a bigger fish, you need to boil it for longer, and a smaller fish, it doesn't need to be as long. And then the jaw bones will essentially they'll just sort of pull out. You'll be able to remove them with your hands. And the jaw's sort of comprised of like 8 bones. So you can imagine there's like 4 bones on top and 4 bones on the bottom. So you need to make sure you've got all the bones. And then it's just a case of putting on some drum and bass and getting a toothbrush out and just removing any excess leftover like bits of cartilage or anything like that that might still be on the bone. And then I use sort of, again, as we've discussed previously with spearfishing, there's a million different opinions on how to do things in the spearfishing world, and a lot of them conflict each other. But I use a bleach-based product. I just spray it on, or you soak it. Obviously, it doesn't need to be too strong. You can sort of dilute it, but I find it just helps take away any of that sort of fishy smell, and it also helps like whiten the bones a bit.
Yeah.
And then you can leave it in that for a while. Just keep checking on it because different bones are more brittle.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye on it. Don't leave it in any sort of state for too long. And then once you've got all the bones, just sort of towel dry them all off or paper dry them off. And then it's just a case of just sticking them together. The first ones, it's like a bit like a jigsaw puzzle that you've never done before. So I actually stuck the bones in the wrong place on the first ones that I did. But you can obviously use Google to say, if you're doing a bass, you can say like Google bass jaw bones, for example, and you'll get some idea on Google Images of how the sort of bones fit together, and then you just have to stick them together. And then once they're done, you can sort of like mount them however you want. But yeah, it's just something really cool.
I'm guessing
I enjoy.
I'm guessing you can't boil it too long because otherwise the bones are just gonna like just break up.
Disintegrate. Yeah, again, it's like a case of trial and error. Like you can see, like
Yeah.
when all like the like meat starts falling off the head, then you've
Pretty much good
got
to go.
it's good. You're good to go. And obviously the bones of like I take only the heads of like my trophy fish, which tend to be pretty big fish with big
Yeah.
bones. Whereas maybe if you're doing it with like a 2-pound bass, you're gonna have to be a little bit more
Delicate.
finicky, delicate.
Yeah.
But
For
yeah,
sure.
it's really cool. I don't know if you're anything like me, but spearfishing's like one of them things where like surfers, they have all like surf clothes that like identifies them as a surfer, and it's like I find like spearfishing is like one of them things where I feel like there's like a big gap in the market for things that sort of identify you as a spearfisherman, that you're like proud to be a Spearo. And
Well,
I
that
feel like
leads
just
us
doing
on.
stuff like that, like jaw mounts and stuff, it's just something cool you can do that you can show people that come around your house, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Fair.
But definitely give it a go. I'd be really interested to see like a bass one. Maybe you've seen one before. I've never personally seen one, but I'd like to see one.
No bass, man. But that yeah, we'd definitely give that a go. That leads us on nicely though, is that our new teas are out and our caps as
Oh,
well.
awesome.
So yeah, if anyone wants one, go over to Sam at underwaterforaging.co.uk, and yeah, we got all our caps and teas on there now for sale. So yeah, they
I'll be
look
doing
pretty
that
good, don't they,
after the
Anthony?
podcast.
Yeah, sweet. Cheers, Sam. And what do you reckon of your tea?
He's gone for tea, I reckon.
No, wait. What's he? Is he on the phone or something? Fucking hell. Yeah, so yeah, no, that's epic, dude. We'll definitely be giving that a go with a bass because I reckon if you get a big enough one, it'll look pretty sick.
I am so
Uh,
sorry, boys. Sorry, I was on the. Sorry to interject. I was just on the phone. I've just had my granddad ring me. It's at 10:30 in the UK in the evening, and my granddad just rang me to say that he's nearly just, well, avoided hitting a dog and just smashed two of his wheels. So I will go and rescue him in a minute. But sorry, I did say that I'm in a podcast, so I have to finish this. It's more important than family.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Can't you? Spearo hang out over blood all day long.
I was just saying, we got our new teaser and caps out, haven't we? And
Oh God, you're not plugging that shit again. Honestly, the only thing I will say is, Rich, I went on a boat trip. We went out to Rame Head, actually. I might have alluded to earlier on, but we went out to Rame Head a week ago, and Rich finally gave me the t-shirts that I bought and paid for. What, 3 months ago, Rich? Was it 4
Don't
months
blame
ago?
me.
You've had them in your house wearing them, and they smell like you and your balls. They don't really, but Rachel was like, I took them out of the car because they were in the car for the whole week. I completely forgot about them, and Rachel got them out. She's like, "Oh my God, they're really nice." It's like, what? Let me try them. They're really, really nice. Like,
They are sick
Sam has done really, really well. They are some fucking plush t-shirts. So I'm going to Wales this weekend to go and see the Southwest Wales Club and go for a dive with them. So I'll be wearing them, and they, yeah, really, really nice. So, and I'm not bullshitting. I'm not like Rich. I'm not full of shit. I am full of shit. I'm definitely full of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, if anyone wants to reach out to you, Sam, where can they find you, man?
So yeah, I am Sam the Waterman on all social medias platforms. And yeah, please do reach out. Like I say, I'm not one of those guys that keeps all like their sort of knowledge and spots themselves. So if you want to just some information on where might be good in South Cornwall, or if you're in Australia, you might want to meet up for a dive, then yeah, please reach out. Like, I'm pretty easy to get along with.
No,
Yeah, we can
awesome.
sort something out.
Well, I've subscribed to you this evening, and it's a rare thing for me to subscribe to someone, but your music taste is phenomenal. So where does anybody get access to your playlists?
Yeah.
You need to make playlists.
Yeah, see that I'm a bit more protective over.
Yeah, I
them.
knew it was going to be that. I knew it. No, thanks for coming on, Sam. It's been fantastic and great to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Cheers coming on, dude. Really appreciate it. And before I forget, when I listened to your episode years and years ago, that's where I coined the phrase Cornish sea turtle. So
really,
yeah.
So Sam, you shit in the water as well?
Yeah, the Cornish sea turtle. Yeah,
that's where I got it from, man. Like, that's how long
funny.
ago I listened to that episode.
Yeah, I've heard someone else reference that recently, and I was like, I wonder if they know where that's come from. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
the man, the legend, Sam the sea turtle, Cornish sea turtle, Mumford.
I've been doing the Cornish sea turtle in front of these boys for years now, and they're like, where the fuck did you come up with that? And I'm like, hey, well, look, mate, it was destiny for you to come on tonight, so really appreciate you coming on, and yeah, it's been epic, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Enjoyed it.
Cheers, Sam. Good luck out there.
Catch you later.
Bro. See ya.
Yeah, that was another epic episode. And yes, I said it again because everyone in the club was ripping it out of me for saying that every time after every episode.
And so we're doing the outro a little bit after. So we've managed to get Ben back from dinner. How was dinner, Ben?
Oh, lovely. Very nice.
What'd you have?
Well, actually, it was a couple of days ago now we're recording this. So I've forgotten most of it. I have probably steak. Yeah, steak. Let's start. I don't know. It's very nice.
Well,
though.
So I was trying to be tactical with this, and now you're making me out to be a liar.
The secret's
Honestly.
revealed.
Honestly.
When the episode drops, you'll hear how much we ripped it out of you anyway, man.
Oh yeah, looking forward to that. I haven't actually listened to it yet.
No,
Well,
Sam's really nice guy, and yeah, I actually wish that I'd known him while he was over here. But yeah, we got along really well during the episode, and
no,
yeah.
it was a really good episode. And also, like, because Ben doesn't know this, Sam was actually Sam went on the Noob Spirit podcast, and that episode was like recorded years ago, and it was the episode I was listening to when I suddenly thought, oh, I wonder if Ben and Anthony want to do a UK version of the podcast over here. So it's kind of a bit of a sort of destiny for him to come on the podcast. Also, you know, when I was telling you about my Cornish sea turtle experiences,
Yeah.
that's where I got it from. I got it from Sam. He's
Oh, I listened to
phrased
this episode. Awesome.
Yeah, he's the one who phrased it. So that's where I got it from.
That was
So
a
I was like,
great Noob Spearo episode. Love it.
yeah. So yeah, it was really cool actually for him to come on. He didn't realise, and I didn't realise who he was until he added us on social media. So yeah, the
Yeah.
whole thing was meant to be basically.
Oh,
It
that's
was,
awesome.
It was really, really good. Yeah, it was a really good episode. So yeah,
No,
but
I'm really liking his videos since the obviously recording it with Sam the other day. I've watched that video that we were talking about during the podcast with Sam like 3 more times. It's such a good video. But hopefully he doesn't hate me too much for asking me all the questions I did.
I think he loved it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's got a really good way of telling stories actually by video. So yeah, it's really cool. See what he
No, I
comes
wish
up
him
with
all the
in
best.
future. Yeah, for sure. You lads got anything planned?
Well, I'm currently doing gabion baskets, if you'd like to know.
Sounds exciting.
Oh God. So the front of the forecourt at my place at work has always been these H-beam sort of like posts along the front with what must be a 70-year-old chain going in between them with to stop the chain from flapping around. There's two. Do you remember those ice cream steins that sort of swing in the wind?
Oh, you do love a flag.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, don't get started.
I don't think I mentioned flags in the podcast.
No, right.
But
Thank
yeah,
God.
so I was replacing that today and going to be doing that because I've just had the 15-ton of stone delivered for the gabion baskets. So yeah, I managed to do, there's 22-meter baskets out there and I did 2 baskets today. It's going to
So
take
basically,
fucking
you're
forever.
going to be getting some cardio in. That's really good,
I
mate.
was
I'm
gonna
really
say
happy
great
for you.
training. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just do some static holds while you're like, moving them about. You'll be all right.
yeah, I'll pass out and fall in a basket.
We've got the BSA Dorset National coming up in
Yep.
2 weekends.
On the
Are
8th of
we
June.
all getting involved this year?
I am.
And
I am indeed.
yes.
Ben's only excited so we can have a little competition between us.
I love these
Well,
little competitions.
before the nationals start, because it's, if I remember rightly, it's 3 per team, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Do you guys want to be a team this year?
Oh, but what would Damon say?
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Damon
no.
could go with like Dave or that's up to you.
I'm torn. I'm torn.
No,
Oh,
fine.
wow.
That's fine.
He's,
I get
he's
it.
ditching the original 3, Anthony. Can't believe it.
It's fine.
Well, I don't really see you guys very often these days.
Well, all the more reason to go in the
That is
team
true.
together.
That is
Arse.
true.
That's fine.
To be fair, we're only trying to get you into our team because you're the better one.
And I only don't want you in my team because
We need some points, man.
No, that's fine. I'll go with Davo. I don't know if he's competing. He's they're all out. Team GB are out in
Oh yeah, of course they are. Yeah.
Turkey at the moment. Yeah.
Have you heard from them today?
I don't.
There's an
think
update on Facebook
so.
yesterday that I read.
Yeah, I think the last update was yesterday, but
They've got a few more days of scouting, haven't they, before the actual competition begins?
Yes. But no, it's they're doing a lot of scouting, a lot of diving.
Hmm.
But I think they're enjoying it. I think it's going well.
It's pretty
Nice.
exciting. It'd be quite a dream to go out to one of those competitions, wouldn't it?
Well, I think they were saying that the difference in diving is like 1 minute they'll be diving down to 4, 5, 6 meters,
Yeah.
effectively shore diving, and then they go down to 34. It's
Wow.
like shit.
Yeah, it might be a
Deep
while
dives.
before I'm going there. You'll be right there, Rich.
Yeah. After next weekend, you'll be fine, Rich.
Yeah, after next weekend I'll be right. Hopefully. Yeah, no, epic, dude. And we got the Bognor Regis comp as well at the end of the month. So yeah, I'm
Yeah, have
looking
you
forward
guys
to that
dived Bognor
because
before?
no, I've never dived it. But that's what I'm saying. I'm looking forward to it because it's
Yeah,
gonna
it'd be
be a new
great.
experience. Yeah, for sure.
So we got
So that's pretty
Ringstead on June the 8th, and
Yep.
then Bognor on
29th.
29th of June.
Mhm.
And then the weekend after that, Christ, it's going to be a busy few weeks, is Talon Bay,
Yeah, crikey, yeah.
6th of July.
So basically our missus are gonna be very happy with
We're
us.
going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
I did book these in the diary as soon as they were released, so I don't think she can have too many things to say about it. Hopefully.
And then
Hopefully.
we've got LIC pairs on the 27th of July, and the ESC Open competition on August 10th. Not allowed to call it competition, am I? ESC Open event. Sorry. So yeah, it's going to be, summer is here.
Do I dare say it? Let's hope we have a decent summer.
Fingers crossed.
Jinx
Yeah, I
it.
don't want to jinx anything, man.
Fingers crossed. But yeah,
Yeah,
all
no,
the
it's
events
cool.
this year. I know that all the competitions this year are going to be register on the day. So if you're not a BSA member, you can just register on the day, £10 for the additional membership. And I'm sure details of each of them can be found more on Facebook. So there's no sort of pre-sign up, so don't worry about going on the website or signing up in advance. Just bring cash. I think is probably preferable for each of the clubs, but bring cash on the day, sign up on the day, and most of them are 6-hour competitions starting at 10 o'clock. Get there for 8:30. 9 o'clock is briefing, or 9:30, something like that. But yeah,
It's
it should be
gonna be a
good.
big one, isn't it? I just double check on that date. You said the 27th for the LIC pairs. I think it's the 20th of
I was gonna
July.
say I think it's the 20th, but
Oh really?
yeah, I can't go to it anyway because I'm running a 10K.
Did you
Nice.
see that on Facebook? Did you? The
Actually,
20th.
So if you go to underwaterfishing.co.uk, the official BSA webpage,
Mm-hmm.
it's listed on there. I haven't checked Facebook, but it's been in my diary, as I say, since the start of the year. So I'm hoping it's correct. Otherwise, I won't be able to go.
Well, fingers crossed we got it right. Just having a quick look. Anyone else lined up for us, Rich?
not yet. I'm working on it.
Nice.
You know me. Like leave it to the last minute.
Nice. Yeah, 20th of July is LIC pairs competition. Sorry, it's in my diary wrong. But yeah.
Sweet lads.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Well, looking forward to a nice summer of events this year that don't get called off.
Mm.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for listening.
And smashing you two in the species comp.
We'll see.
Oh, the last thing is, and this is not a shameless plug, although it is kind of a shameless plug. The Spearo Hangout t-shirts. I wore mine at the Wales event, and I can't believe actually how good quality they are. Really,
Yeah, really
nice,
nice.
thick.
They're
I've got
really good, aren't they?
the hat as well, proper thick, perfect for out on the boat.
Nice.
Yeah, they are really, really
Unique.
decent. And
Good for
you
the
can
money.
find it in our bio. Yeah. You can find the link in the bio on our Instagram.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Right, boys, I'm going to go get Chinese.
Cool. Catch you later.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.